Hi, I'm Phil Konstantin. On This Travels with Phil, we're going to the Oriskany battlefield in the state of New York. You can see it up here east of Oneida Lake and a little bit east of Rome.
Travels with Phil continues at Oriskany, New York. This is where the Battle of Oriskany took place. And it's very hilly country. It's just a little bit east of Rome. And it was one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War for some folks. This is the monument, very tall monument here. And the British were coming down from Canada. They were hoping to separate New York and divide the colonies in half. Americans under Herkimer came here to try and relieve a siege at Fort Stanwix. The British realized they were coming. The British and their Confederates, which were the Mohawk and Seneca, came down and they ambushed the Americans who were traveling with some Oneida as well. Tuscarora eventually also supported the Americans in the war, but here overnight eventually the American forces, or the colonial forces I guess I should say, were able to defeat the British, or at least stop them long enough so that they were not able to continue on and go further south, and they retreated back to Canada.
Now, the Americans, there were about 730 some odd militia and about 60 to 100 Indians. This is Brigadier General Nicholas Herkimer, and that's his writing desk, and soon you'll see his pipe and his lantern, actual mementos of the battle here. The British were led by Sir John Johnson. You'll see him coming up in a second. There he is. And several other Indians involved with that. They had about 500 total on the British side. There you go. Mohawk Joseph Brant, who led a lot of the Indian attacks against colonials, and Seneca Cornplanter. About 65 Indians were killed or wounded, 28 Brits.
My name is Dan Umstead, and I'm a park ranger at Fort Stanwix National Monument, but I also spend a lot of my time here at the Oriskany battlefield. What you're looking at behind you is a monument to the men and women who fought here during the Battle of August 6, 1777. The highest ranking Native American officer on this field is a man named Black Lewis. He's Mohawk. He's African American and Mohawk, but he's fighting for the rebellion. And at the end of the war, he's actually a lieutenant colonel. He actually will get his commission in 1779, and he will be recognized by General Philip Schuyler and George Washington for his heroism and his command ability. He's on this field. What's interesting is African Americans typically didn't get commissions in the Continental Army, but he does. And I think part of that's because he's viewed as a Native American first.
Now, of all the Americans out there, about 850, or the colonials, I should say, 385 were killed, 50 were wounded, and about 30 were captured. So even though it's sort of a draw, depends on how you see it, the Americans lost more troops here, but they basically thwarted the British efforts to continue their attack coming down from Canada and to go further south and to cut off the northeastern colonies from the southern colonies. These are some of the artwork on the big monument. It's about 85 feet tall, very impressive. And it's sort of brick, brick upon brick kind of a design here. And this is actually a listing of all the participants of the colonials, or at least I believe it's all the names they actually had. And the general was mortally wounded here. He died, I think, a few days later. He had to have his leg amputated, and he didn't survive from it. It's not that big of a spot. It's big enough, but it's not, a tremendously large facility out here. But it does talk about what was going on. The six nations, the Iroquois, became divided. Some of them supported the British, some of them supported the American colonials, and it caused a lot of cultural issues within. And then there you see the ranger, and basically it was just him and me out there. So this day there wasn't a lot out there. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up by clicking on the button below. You're welcome to leave comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And finally, if you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the button over on the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you again for watching.